Welcome to Galaxy Bound Podcast. This is a podcast dedicated to everything related to Star Wars, hosted by me, Brad, and my two brothers. We focus on talking about the Star Wars franchise in a positive outlook, even if we don't like something as much as others, which is definitely not the norm these days. This is our very first episode, and I'm recording this intro after we finish recording the rest of the episode because, as with all new projects, you make mistakes and learn from them, and technology is really where that comes true. We ended up having issues with our microphones, which I didn't learn until about halfway through.
You were muted that whole time.
No.
And then after we finished for the other one. It's funny how you test over and over before you start, and then things still go wrong. Anyway, I just wanted to clarify this video is not an indication of sound quality we are going for, and future episodes will sound more like what this sounds like. Thanks for giving us a listen, and I hope you enjoy the episode and stick around for more.
Welcome to Galaxy Bound Podcast. I'm Brad.
Ben. And Spencer.
This is a new podcast that we're starting, just talking about Star Wars, the way that we love it, maybe don't like some stuff, but one of the biggest goals of this show, of this whole channel, is to stay positive as best as we can. The whole fandom is kind of on fire right now, with everyone seemingly hating everything, and that's really not the case. Those voices are just louder, so we're going to do our best to kind of keep the positivity alive. Even if we don't like something, we'll say we don't like it, not prefer it, but we're not gonna, try to maximize those hate clicks by, saying like things are garbage or it's just not productive. So with that said, we're going to start this first episode off by just talking about our own relationship with Star Wars. We are brothers. All three of us are brothers, biological. If you couldn't tell.
Biological.
So we did all grow up in the same house. Me and Ben are a little under 2 years apart, and Spencer
About 10 years.
About 10 years. So we actually do have a very different experience just growing up in general. But especially with Star Wars,
Yeah, for sure.
it's a good measuring stick with what you like, what you grew up with, what's your favorite thing, all that kind of stuff. Your age and what you grew up like, definitely, like, your answer is going to be a lot different than our answer, probably.
For sure.
So,
I wish we had another person that grew up in the 80s. And that was our age when the
originals came out.
Yeah, when the prequels came out, when we were the age we were.
Oh yeah.
That they were that age during the originals. That
Yeah.
would be interesting. Maybe another person. Maybe we can find them.
Yeah. And so I guess we should say first that we are in our 30s,
Mhm.
early 30s.
2030.
So we grew up kind of in the middle of the dry spell of Star Wars, where most of the new Star Wars stuff coming out was like books and comics in the 90s. And then obviously the prequels were right where we were in the sweet spot for it.
Yeah.
Because we were 7, 8, 9 years old. But before, we were already Star Wars fans before those came out too. We grew up watching the original trilogy. Our dad showed them to us when we were pretty young.
Mm-hmm.
So we really grew up with, Luke, Han, and Leia as our main heroes. But then we were also
Speak for yourself, Chewbacca for me. Just kidding.
He always has to be the after spot, I guess. He didn't get a medal in the movie, but he got his medal eventually.
He did.
Yeah, so prequels came out like right when like we were so hyped
Mhm.
for those movies. But then
I kind of grew up with the after hype of those movies, and I don't know, it's definitely shaped my perspective on Star Wars a lot, and just movies in general too. Just yeah.
yeah, and a lot of your experiences were just kind of like secondhand experiences from
Yeah, definitely.
what we were kind of taking in. You were taking in kind of after us. So
All the leftover Star Wars Legos. And games.
oh yeah.
And I definitely think
Movies.
like your opinions definitely rubbed off onto me. I just wanted to, be the same as you guys.
Yeah.
But then after growing up, and then realizing that I actually have my own opinion, that I think
That you think Obi-Wan sucks now.
yeah, I mean, it's just those kind of things. No.
He doesn't.
Well, but yeah, it's cool seeing different people grow up in different eras of Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, even today.
Yeah, even the kids today.
Yeah, like my nephews, like on my wife's side, like they are 7 and 5, and so like they're just as excited about Star Wars and love it just as much, but like their perspective is like totally different. Like I actually tried showing them like the older films the other day, or even like older movies like He-Man and stuff, or like some of the old like Spider-Man comic shows that were on when we were kids, and they were like, "This looks old." Like,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's like a lot of people don't realize that perspective when they like hate on all the new stuff, especially the sequels. The sequels are our favorite movies. I don't know about you.
you said the sequels?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, sequels are our favorite movies.
No.
They're entertaining, but they're not the ones, like, none of them are ones we're going to reach for in our top 10 first,
Are there people out there that say that?
Yes.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Say that they are?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. But
Over 15?
yeah, that's my point.
Okay.
Yes, there are.
Okay.
But a lot of those people are going to be younger kids
Sure.
that grew up with it. Like, people thought that way about the prequels.
Yeah.
And once we get into this next section of us talking about our favorite films,
Mm.
I know for sure one of us has a prequel in our list at our top. And so it's a generational thing, was my point. Going back to what we said before, like, you see those pictures of like little girls dressed as Rey, and it's like,
Yeah.
yeah,
You're right. Yeah.
like they're the ones that are clamoring for a new Rey movie right now.
Yeah.
And like, we probably won't talk about that too much in this episode. We'll save that for the next episode,
Mm-hmm.
talking about the news about the Rey movie and stuff. But like, there's a big audience for that out there. They're just not maybe people our age, or definitely not the people that are like throwing a giant fit about it all the time, about the sequels and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think what it boils down to is like if you take a step back, like there are just so few franchises out there that have spanned the length and quality of like films and other works as much as Star Wars has.
Yeah.
Like there isn't things that like stand up to that. So I think to span so many different generations and still have like, I would say like decently high quality like works coming out still even today.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That like still go toe to toe with some of the original stuff.
Yeah.
Like that's very rare.
Oh yeah. So, we are going to go into talking about our favorite things about Star Wars, favorite movie, show, game, character, all that kind of stuff. So I guess I'll start my favorite movie of all time.
Of like, not even just Star Wars, just of all time.
Of all time.
Wow.
But it happens to be a Star Wars, or a Star War, as you would say. Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah.
Will always be my favorite. It's like the perfect sequel. And the tone of it and everything is just perfect. I mean, you have one of the best lightsaber fights in Cloud City between Luke and Vader. It's emotional. It's a big twist in that fight. Yeah, like the pacing of it is just so good because you have that first third of it on Hoth.
Mm-hmm.
And like there's a bunch of action, like the stakes are high because the rebels need to get out of there. But then you have like Vader like chasing them, like on their tails the whole time. And then on top of that, they just keep making it go further with Han and Chewie. Remember at that time. And Leia.
Recognition.
And the droids, obviously. In the Falcon, like through the asteroid field.
Yeah.
That whole scene is amazing. And then like all of Cloud City and everything like that. So such a good movie.
So why that one as opposed to like A New Hope, where that one was kind of like the OG of the OGs? So like
this might be my hot take, which we were going to get to later to talk about our hot takes. So should I say it now or later?
No, I'll save it for later.
Okay. Because it is related to A New Hope.
Yeah. Because I know a lot of people say that their favorite, if their favorite is any of the originals, is I think usually actually A New Hope because of just like that opening scene is just an eye catcher. It like immediately grabs you in and like takes you on the journey, and you're learning all the things about the characters and like Darth Vader and just the whole universe is like a brand new thing for those original viewers. So yeah, I like it. I like the reason. Do you want me to go or you go?
Go ahead.
Well, my favorite is episode 3. Yeah. And the reason for that is, I think, because of the appreciation of the originals and knowing the storyline and like kind of having that like love for the Darth Vader story and character. Then when we were kids, like that's when the prequels started coming out, and you're like slowly seeing that like, well, how did he become this?
Mm-hmm.
And then it all just comes to like a climax into episode 3. And I will say, like, there are parts sometimes that I'm like, okay, the movie's a little bit like forced.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think they maybe could have made 2 films out of that, or maybe made the film longer. Honestly. But I just the nature of like episode 2 going into episode 3 of just like, this is how it all happened, I think is just the peak of the whole entire story. Yeah.
I mean, I agree with that. Has the Clone Wars influenced that at all over the years?
Yeah, I think that show, because like Anakin's always been kind of like my favorite character, and like
which
Vader
influenced
a little bit too.
Someone else in this room.
Yeah. But
it's just gonna take everything that you're gonna say.
Yeah, that film I think just has like the best battle scenes. It's got some of the best like space battle scenes, some of the best like lightsaber duels. Episode 2 has a lot of that great stuff too, but and then on the animated side, like the Clone Wars, has a lot of really great stuff too. But
Well, I just meant like since the Clone Wars fills in a lot of those gaps that you wish you had before going into Episode 3.
yeah,
It just kind of enhances that experience.
yeah,
Like, you loved Anakin. You
Mhm.
collectively, obviously, you did, but like Anakin was the hero.
Mhm.
But then it does feel very forced in Episode 3. Like, it felt like a switch just flipped in his mind, almost like there wasn't that much of a progression. But
Yeah.
then you see Clone Wars, and you do see that kind of progression. Like he definitely progresses towards what he becomes.
Yeah.
More. But then you also see more of his heroic side too.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So.
Yeah, from a lackadaisical fan side, like if you were
What?
lackadaisical,
Define, please.
like lazy, slow, like
Can you spell that?
LAX daisical LAXI
Uh-huh.
D ASI ICAL.
A-L?
Yeah. Is that spelled right?
No.
Okay. Lackadaisical. I've always said lackadaisical, but it's lackadaisical. I think it's because when people like shorten it, they say lax.
So that's the
I've
long version
never
of it?
heard this word before.
Really? Yeah, lackadaisical. It's careless,
yeah.
lazy. Yeah.
Huh.
Max.
So
All right, y'all.
so
Word of the day.
lackadaisical, we know now what it means. So I was classifying like a sector of fans that maybe don't watch a ton of Star Wars stuff, and they're just maybe have only seen like the films, like maybe even just the 6.
Which is like 90% of people.
Yeah,
Only, well, I should say live action stuff.
yeah. Those collection of fans, they might say that film seems forced.
Yeah.
But if you see all of like you're at the Clone Wars, then it fills in a lot of the gaps. You see more of that like internal battle that he has, especially with oh my gosh, my brain's not going to work tonight to be able to his paddle. Holy moly. Thank you. Wow, that's embarrassing.
Yikes.
Yeah, like you see all of that, and that isn't in like those movies at all.
So that was a huge turning point for him.
Yeah.
But also, his relationship with Obi-Wan starts to dwindle. You see that progression too.
Yeah.
Whereas in the movies,
it's like one day he wakes up and he's like not with him anymore.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Yeah. But like, you don't notice that when you're kids. So like, we didn't care about that when we saw the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And like a few years after that, like we would always just consider it just an amazing movie.
Yeah.
But then as you get older, you kind of see some of those faults in the movie. And like, we didn't care about Clone Wars back then either, even when it came out for years, because it's like a kid show.
Yeah.
Which it definitely was in the first season, but it definitely grew up with us.
Mm-hmm.
So by the time I watched it, I was like, whoa, this feels a lot.
Yeah.
So, do you have anything else to contribute since we already
had
everything that you
do you have? Is yours episode 3 too?
Yeah. But I do have a question. You kind of mentioned your favorite scene in Empire Strikes Back, but maybe state it a little more obviously.
You said the lightsaber scene.
Did I?
I don't know. You mentioned a few things.
And we haven't gotten to the scene section yet, but I don't know if my favorite scene is in that movie.
Oh, okay.
I think he just said that was like a very like pivotal scene in that movie.
Yeah.
Like one of the most iconic
There's a
of
lot.
the whole franchise.
Okay.
Yeah, I went through all of like the major story beats.
So you want to say that your favorite scene is not in that movie?
Yeah, I think I will say that.
Would you say that is the case for you too?
Like, is my favorite scene also in my favorite movie?
Yeah.
I gotta think of my favorite scene. I don't even know.
No.
I didn't even put this in the doc, but
Well,
are we going by just movies or shows or what?
Well, you kind of have it laid out where you have your favorite movie, favorite scenes in that
Oh, I did, didn't I?
movie, and then scenes.
For some reason, I was thinking favorite scene was its own section. My brain is also not working.
well, I think we could still have like a favorite scene in the favorite movie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It may not be your all-time.
Yeah,
favorite
so we
scene.
could, yeah. So I guess I'll go back to mine. My favorite scene in Empire Strikes Back. I do kind of want to say the lightsaber battle, but there's just so many good scenes in that movie.
Mhm.
Like him training with Yoda is good. Yeah, I guess I'll say the lightsaber battle and him like revealing who he is to Luke, like that whole thing.
Mhm. All right, Spencer, you say yours first because I've already talked a lot about this.
Say it at the same time. Go.
No, you
My
say
favorite scene?
from that. Yeah, since that's your favorite one.
I have two. I think my favorite scene in the movie entirely is the Temple March when he goes into the temple.
Ooh,
before he's
that's
with
good.
everybody.
Yeah, that's a good one.
He's crying. I know it's emotional, but like
Yeah.
I don't know. He's like, what am I doing? You know,
Mhm.
he's crying. You can see it.
It's when you first see like the yellow eye
Mhm.
of him too.
That music too.
Yeah.
But for something not as dark, my favorite scene after that one is the intro when you have the ships coming in,
That's mine.
the starfighters.
That's what I was.
I was up. That's what I was gonna say. Like, if I had to say my favorite scene of all time, that might be it.
Yeah.
Really.
Every time I see it, whether it's from watching the movie or like a reel on Instagram,
Chills.
like, wow.
You sit there and watch the whole thing.
Yeah.
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 Like,
And
you see it on a reel, and you're like,
music.
"Yeah, I gotta go watch episode 3."
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
It
oh,
is.
let's go watch it.
Yeah. The music that goes along with it is really good.
Yes.
They did such a great job of that. That I think, aside from A New Hope, I think it has the best intro out of any of
I agree.
the films.
Yes.
All the way. I mean,
I
you
would
are
say it has the best of all of them.
glued.
Yeah.
That's a long intro. It's like glued all the way till they land back down on Naboo. Is it Naboo?
Coruscant.
That they like. Yeah, I mean, that's like a 40-minute intro. But like,
I think it pays homage to A New Hope with the intro. It's the same,
Well, all of the films do that.
yes, but I think that one just like we're about to transition back into the originals here,
Mhm.
so to do it again,
Mhm.
that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I wrote a paper on that intro
Hmm.
for college.
Like,
Should we,
like from a film perspective.
Should we read it
No,
on a podcast
no,
episode?
no.
Is
But-
it in APA format?
But yeah, it was just.
What was the paper like? Perspective, like what was it about?
It's just about your favorite movie, and I was like, "It's this one, so let's introduce them to the best intro of the movie of all time." And
Yeah.
mentioned basically what we just said.
You know what's so sad is they still haven't released the full soundtrack for that scene. They have like the main Star Wars crawl theme,
Mm-hmm.
and then you know how it like fades out, and then you slowly or like it's quiet, and you
Mhm.
hear the drums,
Mm-hmm.
and then they get louder and louder.
The Starfighters.
The starfighters zoom in, and then it goes, yeah. They don't have that, like the quiet drum intro part.
That's a shame.
So it just goes from the main theme right into like when the trumpets come in.
So you have to like bootleg it off of like the film.
Yeah, and then you hear the starfighters come in. I used to listen to it that way
Yeah.
back when I was a kid, and then I tried to like do some magic with
Mm-hmm.
editing to like make a real version of it, and it kind of worked.
Yeah.
But they've released that soundtrack 3 times, and they still haven't done that for that scene.
Dang.
Sad.
Yeah.
I paid money for that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, I've paid for the soundtrack 3 times, hoping that it would be there.
Yeah.
Did you say your favorite scene from that movie?
It was that.
The same.
intro.
Okay.
Yeah, that was your second. Like you had 1 and 2.
Oh yeah,
right?
that's
I
funny.
said that one was my 1.
Yeah.
Okay. So, favorite show, series, however you want to say it, whatever country you're from.
Do we want to divide it into live action and not?
Maybe
Or just shows?
maybe we should, because they do feel very different.
Yeah, you're right.
So we'll start with live
But
action.
there's just so many.
I know.
Like,
Not really.
I mean,
I mean, if you split it up, it's not as bad.
yeah.
Yeah. So we'll start with live action, which I can't decide. So if someone else knows,
I think my answer is Mandalorian.
mhm.
I think Obi-Wan.
Hold on. Did you watch Andor yet?
Yeah.
All the way.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Wow.
But it's
He did his homework.
I didn't. I think it's Mandalorian for me, but I think a lot of what like Ahsoka and Kenobi had made really strong cases, and they also just, I mean, it's all kind of like a good collection,
Mhm.
but I think Mandalorian is for me.
Yeah, that's what's tripping me up is I feel like every show is a mixed bag. Like
Yeah.
there's some really, really good moments in all of them.
I agree.
And there's some not so great moments in all of them. So like
Mm-hmm.
when I think about like, I probably would say Mandalorian, right? Like season 3 really brought that down for me. So then I'm like, okay, maybe Obi-Wan, but like the pacing of that show kind of brought it down for me,
Mm-hmm.
and some of the scenes. And Ahsoka pacing again.
Yeah. For me, the reason why I said Mandalorian over like the other two is, as a whole, I think the story of Mando
Yeah.
just was better. But I think the best moment in Kenobi is better than any moment in Mandalorian. But I don't think it redeems the whole.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that's like, I think that scene of like of him and Anakin / Darth Vader, I think is like one of the best in all of like Star Wars.
Yeah. Absolutely. Even though it
Might be my favorite scene, actually.
copied / took inspiration from the scene in Rebels.
Yeah.
It kind of just took it way more personal with
Mhm.
Obi-Wan.
Mm-hmm.
Just because we're more attached to Obi-Wan than we were with Ahsoka, especially back then in Rebels. So,
Yeah, I regret not watching that like live together.
this Obi-Wan show,
Yeah. That was one of the few ones that we didn't watch.
that
live
episode
together.
specifically.
No, I don't think I watched any of Kenobi with you
I don't
guys.
think you were there.
Yeah, we watched
We
it.
did.
We invited you, I think.
Yeah, you did. I
Because, we talked about it
yeah.
twice on the podcast.
Yeah.
So,
I remember watching that during the daytime
Mm,
while I think it was like a Saturday or something. And I just was like trying to like catch up because it had like released, but I was like working.
Yeah, you were busy during that time.
Yeah. And then like finally catching up. And it was like the middle of the day on a Saturday. And I was like, dang, I should have watched this in the evening, like when it was like dark and like all the lights and stuff. Cause it just, and I've watched it since then in that environment, but like, oh my gosh, I'm like sitting in my living room, just like tears.
Yeah.
This is so awesome.
Yeah. Like, there's so many scenes in that show. Like the one with the fire when he's trying to get away was good. Yeah.
My favorite scene in that show, besides their duel, is when he is on. I forget what that place is called. The Inquisitories.
Yeah.
He walks in, and Riva is in there, and he's like, he walks in the room, storming into it. It's like, you understood what failure would bring to you, and starts choking her. Like, he just feels like the Vader in A New Hope, where he's choking out that rebel.
Yeah.
He even sounds like, I mean, I know it's the same voice, but like, he says it in the same way.
Yeah. R.I.P.
Yeah. Did you say your favorite show?
Yeah, you can go ahead. Yeah, it's hard.
I could easily just go with the Obi-Wan show.
I mean, I need to watch all of the shows again. I've only watched all of them once.
Really?
Yeah. Even Mando.
I think I've seen Obi-Wan twice.
That's another reason why it's so hard for me to answer this. And I meant to rewatch something before we started this podcast.
Yeah.
That's a lot to watch through, but
I think I'm just going to go with Ahsoka as my favorite one, just because you have her struggle from still like losing Sabine as a Padawan, losing Vader as her master, or losing her master to Vader, if you want to say it like that. She's still like grieving from that, and like her learning how to be her own person after all of that. It's cool to see. And then that's when she gets to talk to Anakin as his Force ghost, you know.
Yeah.
That's cool. I think just all of that together
yeah.
would probably be my favorite show.
It's a show that got better as it went along.
Yes.
It started very rocky.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think they still did a great job of showing her struggle.
Yeah.
They made her very stoic and closed off, which I get. But at the same time, with that many episodes for a short story like that, they could have like put more scenes of her like struggling in some way.
Yeah. Agree.
But it ended up being a really good show. So it is a contender for my favorite too, but I think I'm gonna have to go with Mandalorian. Yeah. Specifically season 1 and 2. There's good stuff in season 3. But season 3 just felt like it didn't need to happen at all.
Yeah. I could see that.
Like, you end season 2 with him getting Grogu to Luke. Like, the perfect finale. And then a lot of the season 3 problems happen with Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah.
With that whole thing being shoehorned into that.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't mention that show.
Yeah. I mean, there's good stuff about that show too. But it felt like two different shows. And just imagine, like, I was just thinking, our dad has been wanting to watch The Mandalorian with us at some point soon. That's the show that he wants to watch.
Nice.
Because he hasn't seen it yet. And I was thinking, like, okay, so we'll go through season 1 and 2 And then we have to go through Book of Boba Fett to get the whole story, because that's literally where he goes to get Grogu back. Because if you skip that,
then
you go from him not having Grogu to him suddenly having Grogu again.
Yeah.
And like nothing ever happened.
Dang it. Yeah, you're right.
So
it's almost like a season
2.5. Yeah, which is what people joked about back then, but it definitely is the case.
Yeah, I mean, even Gamora Morrison says that.
Yeah.
He stole my thunder.
He did.
Yeah.
Did him dirty. Did the whole character of Boba Fett dirty, I think. But yeah, I still have to say Mando, I guess. Just because I love season 1 and 2.
And Pedro's good.
Pedro's amazing. I mean, the whole cast was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I am excited for
Bill
the
Burr.
movie. Yeah. I mean, he was a joke in season 1, but like his performance in season 2.
But even season 1, like he was a jokey character, but like it was still good.
Yeah.
It just like ruined.
He just played himself.
Yeah.
I think it was a much needed character because that show is so grounded.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's
I mean, there's a lot.
You don't see faces, you don't see facial expressions ever, because you're dealing with Mandalorians. So like they're wearing helmets. So like to have a character thrown in there that is like very expressive with their face, like it was a cool change of pace for one episode.
Yeah.
And just funny in here.
Yeah.
I mean, there still are a lot of other funny characters in the show.
Oh, yeah.
Like Pelly and I feel like there's always this, like the very first episode is that one guy that's his bounty.
Oh, yeah. That was so funny.
And like I remember a lot of people complaining about that character that just completely took them out of it because he was an alien that just talked like a normal American. But like I thought it was hilarious. So Mando's good at like striking the balance between like grounded and gritty, but like hilarious at the same time.
Yeah.
So, like I was gonna say, I'm excited for the new movie that's coming out, even though it seems weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think it should be the next movie that comes out, but at least we're getting a movie.
True.
Disney.
Yeah.
So, well, I guess we'll do animated show.
Mm.
I'm going to say Rebels,
I'm also going to say Rebels.
which I wouldn't have said that before I rewatched it, before Ahsoka came out, which was last year, right? So I wouldn't have said it before then.
Mhm.
I loved Rebels, but it was never my favorite show. But rewatching it is like, oh my gosh, it's so good.
Mm-hmm.
Like some of the best moments in all of Star Wars happened in that show.
Yeah.
Like, I was kind of like speechless by the end of it. I was like, this show.
Yeah, and the character developments across it is really good.
Like it had a rocky first season a little bit, but it was still like decently constructed and like set the groundwork. But it was rocky groundwork.
Mm-hmm.
I realized I said rocky and I was gonna say, oh, that's still solid. Like sticking with this analogy.
I like it because of the interaction between the master and his apprentice, like Kanan and Ezra.
Something we just did not get enough of with like Anakin and Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
Or even Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan. I think that was always the best part about the prequels. Was like their relationship and stuff.
Yeah.
Which you get a little bit more of that, obviously, in Clone Wars.
Yes.
But the whole point of that is actually that it's like dissipating across the show.
Yeah, because he isn't technically his Padawan anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's more like they're colleagues rather than
You actually get more of like Master Apprentice with Anakin and Ahsoka.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
a little bit.
And then Anakin's
As best as he can.
run away and do this.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, I'm gonna figure it out.
Yeah, I think my answer is Clone Wars. I think I like the style of Clone Wars
I do too.
where like the intros are fun.
Yeah.
With that like guy's voice.
Yeah, like propaganda voice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then like of course there are a lot of episodes that are like continuations of like the overall storyline, but like there are a lot of episodes that are just kind of like standalone episodes.
Yeah.
That like it's like just kind of like
Just a fun adventure.
fun story adventure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I kind of like that.
Which Rebels has that too, but
Mhm.
yeah.
I would say the last final season really helped me like really enjoy the show entirely.
Mhm.
Just one thing, the animation was
Yes.
better. But
Why? Yeah, seeing it like side by side of like season one and
Or the movie, especially.
yeah.
Yeah.
But
It's rough.
just the story there, or I guess the quality of the story, was just
Oh yeah. The way it
some of the best Star Wars.
interweaves with episode 3.
Yeah.
It's just like chef's kiss. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
that is why episode 3 I think is like
Yeah.
so good, is because they did a good job of like connecting the dots. It doesn't feel like there's this big empty gap between 2 and 3 anymore because you have all that.
Definitely. Yeah. Clone Wars would be a contender for me, but because it's so inconsistent, that's really what drags it down.
Fair.
Like, I love it, but like the first couple seasons, it's just, there's good stuff, especially with the clones. But season 1 is a hard watch still.
Yeah.
But yeah. Like, I would probably pick Bad Batch over
I'm surprised
Clone
neither
Wars.
one of you actually
I
chose
almost
that.
did, but after that rewatch of Rebels, like I immediately decided after that last episode, I was like, this is my favorite animated show. Obviously, that was before Bad Batch season 3 came out, but still, I still think it takes over Bad Batch. But I think Bad Batch is second.
Yeah.
Because that was an amazing show.
Yeah, inside the minds and the interwebbings of like the actual clones stories is part of what makes like Clone Wars really good, but also like the whole driver behind Bad Batch. It's just
and just seeing the transfer from, or transformation from clone to stormtrooper, from Republic to Empire.
Yeah,
was very interesting.
Something I've been wanting forever.
Yeah, and I still think they could have shown more, but I get that they didn't in that show specifically, just because it's called The Bad Batch. Like, it's about these characters.
Sure.
I would love to see a live action show that shows more of it. But yeah. Do we have any favorite scenes from our favorite shows?
Stomach's going wild. I think for me it's that Vader scene when he's like walking up in the snow.
The very last scene of the show.
Yeah. It's like up there with like some of the top scenes of all Star Wars. It's just like so.
Not a word spoken.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is all music and like just pure emotion. It's one of those that like you see it on like a reel or like a TikTok and you're like, now I gotta go watch that episode.
Yeah.
Now I gotta go watch all Clone Wars again.
Oh, now I gotta go lie down.
Yeah.
Goes and cries.
Yeah, when he like sees the helmets and
Yeah. Like you can tell.
So good.
He's stewing about it.
Yeah.
Like, oh crap.
But you're right. The director choices to not have any words or vocals in that at all, and just have it like be pure silence.
Yeah.
I don't know where I heard this, but it was a quote where it's like Darth Vader didn't have to go out to that random planet that they crashed on, but Anakin did.
Yeah.
Like he had to go make sure that she's gone. They're all gone.
Yeah.
Which even it's another nail in the heart.
Yeah.
Is that a phrase?
I don't know.
I was gonna let him have it.
I just
It's that
We all knew what you meant.
dagger to the heart, nail in the coffin. But
That's it.
either way,
Could work.
you're dead.
yeah, dagger in the heart.
So that's your favorite scene.
Such a good one. From Rebels, I would say
Did you say that's your favorite show?
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
did I miss that?
It was right after you said yours.
Oh.
Yeah.
I just agreed with you.
Okay.
So much happens in that show.
Yeah.
I guess when Kanan and Ezra first encounter Vader, and I think it's Lothal at one of the factories, and stuff crashes on Dr. Vader.
Yeah.
And Ezra's like, who was that? And Kane's like, yeah, you don't want to find out. And then Vader like lifts up all the debris that fell. It's just fire.
Yeah.
He's mad. That was cool. Just like Kanan knows who he is, but sort of.
Suspects something.
He knows he's bad.
Yeah. I mean, that's all you need to know.
Knows.
That's a really good episode. But I would have to go with the whole like Twilight of the Apprentice like arc, but specifically the scene with Ahsoka and Vader.
Yeah.
With the broken mask.
With the broken mask.
Yeah.
All that kind of stuff. I mean,
It's
that's
just
like
poetry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rhymes. Yeah. It would feel wrong to pick anything else.
Mm-hmm.
Moving on to games.
Yeah.
You recently played a Star Wars game more recently than we have.
Currently still playing one, actually.
Are you playing Outlaws?
Oh, nice.
Wow.
Yeah.
How do you like it?
Really cool. I like that it is kind of that like other perspective of like the Star Wars worlds.
Yeah.
Like you're
Like the underworld.
yeah, like you're not a Jedi, you're not like dealing with Jedi, like you're in the underworld. It's like doing like all the dirty work and like it's cool.
Yeah.
I'm still, I would say probably 25% of the way through it, so still decently early, but I like the storyline.
So don't pick a scene from the show or from that game.
Yeah, no spoilers.
Dang,
Although I'm late, so like maybe I deserve it. So,
it's a good surprise
okay.
when you get to it. For those scene that
I
had to warn him.
Yeah, it's a good game. It isn't my favorite.
But the previous one might be a contender.
Yeah, it is really good.
He recently played Survivor as well, to be clear.
I think I like that one more than the first one, and I forget the name of the first one.
Fallen Order.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I agree. I think it's a better constructed game.
Mm-hmm.
The gameplay is more polished and more expanded.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the story of the first game might be slightly better.
Yeah,
But-
it's very close.
It is very close.
I wouldn't hate that argument, especially with like at the end of the game, like you are like having a run-in with Vader. Like that makes the game just like that much cooler.
Yeah.
I think
Which
some
you
of
do in the
the
second game too, but in a different
in
way.
that game, the customization, the world travel, the abilities, being able to have like multiple different types of like lightsabers and stances and stuff like that I think makes that game just a notch better in my book. But
yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. Like they just took what was really good already in Fallen Order and just like made it so much better.
Yeah.
But is it your favorite game? Because there's a lot of games.
The only other one that I think I would probably throw up there is probably Battlefront 2.
I knew he was gonna say
The
that.
OG one?
Yeah, on the
I
PlayStation.
don't think you ever played the newer one. Did you?
I own it, I think.
I think you owned the first one.
Mm.
So I remember playing the first one with you.
Yeah.
But I don't think you ever played the second one.
No, yeah, I guess not. Yeah, the OG Battlefront 2. It just was like, for its time, was just really good.
Oh yeah,
Just
in all ways.
yeah, like you had the coolness of like being a clone trooper and
Yeah.
playing all the different ranks of the clone troopers, conquering worlds, like
Galactic Conquest.
yes, Galactic Conquest, so good.
The fact that they didn't put that in the newer one made
Slap in the face.
yeah, it was just like that was the best thing.
It's
And
like, this is
teased
what
it
we
too.
wanted. Actually, we don't want any of the other stuff. Just
Yeah.
give us Galactic Conquest.
They even like mentioned it. I think like the social manager or whatever like mentioned like, yeah, we know you guys want this, and we have it on our list to do, but and then they canceled the rest of the development. But yeah, like we
played that
so many hours. In that game.
4 hours.
That was the game where we would turn off our TV and have the PlayStation still on. Parents come in, say goodnight, they go to bed, and then we turn the TV back on and keep playing.
Yeah.
Like that was one of those games. And it was just us two, like playing against each other or with each other on the PS2. It was such a good game because it was mostly like a multiplayer focused game, but the way they did the campaign in that game, where this was right as episode 3 was airing. So this was way before Clone Wars and way before they created the whole like chips in their heads in Clone Wars that like and made them more like human, more relatable and stuff. So the campaign was like they knew what they were doing the entire time. And the monologues, like in the little cutscenes before you go into the next mission, that were voiced by Tamora Morrison.
Yeah.
Where he's just like saying like, especially the one that happens like right before your favorite scene in the movie of them going to the Jedi Temple. He's like, we know, like, we fought side by side with these Jedi for these last 3 years or whatever, but this is what we were made to do. And it's like, I wish I could think of actual quotes.
Yeah.
But every time sometimes I see those reels come through, and it just gives me chills every time. Yeah. And a big part of me does prefer that like rather than the chips, you know?
Yeah.
Just because it makes them more scary. But it also like takes away a lot of the good like character building that does happen with them not knowing what they're doing. So I don't know. But that game does that really well, even though like actual missions were like basically just you're fighting against bots for the most part. But that's a way to like take a shallow story driven game and make it that much more deep, I guess.
Yeah.
With like a cutscene like that. But yeah, such a good game.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. There was another clone game that I think actually was like Xbox 360. That was, you were like
There's Republic Commando.
That might be it.
It was on 360. It was
Okay.
the original Xbox.
Oh, original Xbox.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember like which one we had it on.
Yeah, the same generation as Battlefront.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very underrated game.
Yeah.
I really
I
liked
don't know if that's true.
Oh, maybe.
It's considered one of the best.
Okay.
Yeah.
I really liked that because it was.
People are
Have you ever played it
clamoring
before?
for
Yeah.
either a remake
That's-
or a sequel.
It's one of the old ones that I actually.
Sequel would be really cool. Actually.
Yeah, they were planning a sequel that was called Imperial Commando that was supposed to be like the same team but as like Stormtrooper Commandos.
Mm-hmm.
But then that obviously got canceled.
Or like get into like the Bad Batch.
That's what
type
other
of
people
thing,
were
like,
thinking. Like,
Yeah.
just do a Bad Batch
Yeah.
game and just call it Imperial Commando or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. For those of you that don't know the game, you are. It's like a first person shooter game where like your HUD is like the screen of the helmet, and so you like got all these like indicators, and like you're like a special ops type of like clone, and like going through different like secret missions on these different planets, and like gaining abilities, and you've got this like knife thing like on your like suit, and it's cool. Really cool.
Yeah, they basically copied Halo.
Yes, it was
But
that time.
Made it like very much stand on its own.
Yeah.
Because it was kind of like a mix of Halo and like Ghost Recon or Rainbow Six or whatever, where you like could command your troops or not your troops, but like your squad mates.
Yeah.
And you could like tell them to like, oh, go over there and like shoot that guy. But then you could also
like breach doors
control.
And like take down tanks and stuff like that. Yeah. Such a cool game.
I haven't played it since it came out though. I need to replay it.
Yeah.
Because they have it on like modern consoles now.
Yeah, that's what I played.
Yeah.
A couple years ago, maybe 3 or 4.
On Xbox though, so it's backwards compatible.
Yeah.
Well, it technically wasn't that one.
It was. I think it was on the X, Series X.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not that long ago.
Yeah. I need to replay it. What's your favorite game?
I don't know. I think probably it's just Survivor.
Really?
Yeah.
Lego Star Wars?
It's probably the most.
Which one? Did you play the new one?
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
Insane how like much content is in that game.
Mm-hmm.
They need to make that game, but just like not Lego.
Yeah.
I'll actually go with Fallen. I do agree with your statements on that. Survivor is better with the gameplay and everything. But I think I love the ending in Fallen Order.
Definitely.
That just sells it for me.
Yeah.
Over that.
I mean, the ending for Survivor is good, but you could tell they like set it up for a sequel.
Oh yeah.
Whereas the first one, it could have ended there, and they anticipated it ending there. So, I think that's part of it.
Yeah, I think the intro is better in that one, and the conclusion is better in that one. But the gameplay and like the customization and stuff in
Yeah, it just makes it a better game overall.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know why I wasn't expecting you to say that. But I don't really know what other game you would have picked.
I mean, I could have gone into the Sith video game.
That is a good video.
Which you didn't really play until recently either.
True. But
other than watching us play it.
Yeah.
That is probably the best movie game. Like not just Star Wars movie game, but like movie game. Because like movie games back then kind of sucked.
Lord of the Rings.
Never mind. You're right. Yeah, Return of the King game is probably the best. But Revenge of the Sith is probably a second. Yeah, he's right.
I need to put that one on the list.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you never played it?
Mm-mm.
For its time, that was a good game. I mean, the graphics aren't like...
It probably still holds up.
Yeah.
They
weren't like amazing, but...
No, but like for PS2. I mean, it's similar to the Revenge of the Sith game.
Yeah. You're basically playing the movie.
Yeah.
It just doesn't have the... Like, even gameplay-wise, it's similar. You just don't like... There's not duels.
Mm-hmm.
Like lightsaber duels.
Yeah. Okay.
But the gameplay itself is kind of similar.
Mm-hmm.
But you can like change who you play as.
Mm-hmm.
Usually, you only get the choices of people in that scene.
Yeah.
Like you're playing a scene from the movie that only has like Aragorn and Legolas and Gimli, so you can only choose between those three.
Yeah.
But you can do split screen.
Mm-hmm.
So when we would play, like, I'd always be Aragorn, he'd always be Legolas. Every time.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I go with Fallen Order.
Fallen Order. Well, I'm going with that thing back there.
Yeah.
Good old KOTOR.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That for hours and hours and
And
hours.
yeah. I mean, it's probably a toss-up between that one and that one of how many hours I've done in those games, but
The amount of times that I would, when we were kids and sharing the room,
yeah.
that I would go into the room and you were playing that.
Which one?
I don't know. They both look the same to me. I've never played either one. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably a toss-up between
Yeah.
which one it was. Yeah, I mean, KOTOR, Knights of the Old Republic, if you're not familiar, which you should be if you're watching this.
We're welcoming of all kinds.
Yeah, that's true. Takes place like thousands of years before the movies. It's an RPG, like a turn-based kind of RPG, which I'm not a big fan of the combat itself, but the story and how you can like create your own character and go through and interact with people. Like I'm such a sucker for like RPG style games.
But it's a CPU only, right?
What do you mean by that?
Like you can only play it on the computer.
No.
Oh.
We had it on Xbox. That's when I first played it, was on Xbox.
Oh, really?
I'll never forget when you remember whenever we used to go over to house?
Yeah.
I have to believe that.
Yeah, only the first names.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know if you would remember.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it was like one of the very last times we went over there. He had that game that he rented.
Mm.
And he was like, hey, I know you like Star Wars, like let's play this game. And it was like a single player only game. So it was just me playing it. And then like I got hooked and I just like played it the entire time. And he like went and did something else and I was just playing it through.
That's hilarious.
And then eventually because that was before we had an Xbox. And then we eventually got an Xbox and then I immediately got that game.
Mm. So what was the one you played on the computer all the time?
I did eventually get it for a computer. I got this pack for Christmas it was called the Best of, or something, Best of PC. And it had both of those and both of those on it. So, yeah, I did have it on PC.
What was the one that you would like mod all the time?
Both of them.
Oh.
But yeah,
That's what I remember.
mostly
It's
Jedi
like
Academy.
Yeah,
literally
Jedi Academy.
flying around.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's true.
yeah, Jedi.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the one that I still like host a website for that like people share mods and stuff. Like,
okay. Yeah.
like there's a good chance we're going to get some viewers on this video from people from that community.
Sweet.
So, yeah, one of those two. But KOTOR takes the top spot just because it has a way better story, which is more important to me for a story-driven game. Like there's a big twist, which I don't want to spoil it because I do think you should play it, but I don't know if you would like it. Like the gameplay is a little rough.
If it's on PC, yeah.
No, I mean, you can play it on your phone.
Okay.
If you wanted to.
You're talking about the first KOTOR?
Specifically, yeah. But both of them are on your phone. On iOS and Android. They work really well as phone games.
Oh yeah, I
Yeah, you played.
I played it
First
in high school and study hall, 2 hours straight every day.
Oh
I
my.
beat it in a week and a half.
It's a pretty long game too.
Yeah, well,
But it's
I went through the walkthrough, like a IGN walkthrough or something. keep me focused on where I'm going.
I thought he said IGA walkthroughs.
I did
Like,
too. I was
Yeah,
you playing it while you went through a grocery store. Okay. But yeah, it's good. It's just it also established like a whole new era of Star Wars, which was just very cool. Like obviously I love like the Skywalker saga era. But seeing a different era, like they use swords and stuff. Like that's what that sword right there is. It's a replica of the Vibro sword from that game. Which was like made of like cortosis, which could go up against lightsabers, which we've seen in the Acolyte now. It's canon, but that's one of the games that showed it for the first time outside of comics.
And that's not canon?
What?
Those games aren't canon?
No. Not technically. There's portions of it, like Darth Revan is, which that's who that is. Technically, Darth Revan is canon. There's other parts of it that are canon. But like the game itself isn't canon. People think that they're waiting to actually like make a movie of it and like change some stuff about it. They are remaking the game. But
Another rabbit hole.
that is a big rabbit hole. They are trying to remake the game.
Okay.
They announced it, 2021?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
That one?
it's changed studios twice.
And
We've seen no progression.
hasn't the studio been bought twice too?
No. No,
It's just Chip Studio.
it's owned. Yeah, they're both studios are owned by Embracer Group,
Oh, okay.
which is the funniest name for a company that just acquires things. Embraces things, as I should say. So yeah.
Okay.
Cool. Yeah. So that's my favorite game. Favorite character? Anybody?
Quick.
I mean, you could probably guess mine.
I can guess both of yours. Well, you maybe like the toss up, but
I'm an open book. Anakin.
I thought you were gonna like throw out some
Jago
random like Greedo or something.
Yeah, Anakin.
I
Enough
mean,
said.
yeah,
Pre Vader Anakin.
All versions,
even Vader.
even Vader.
So that you consider that. Obviously, it's still Anakin, but like,
Yeah,
I know this is another big rabbit hole to go down.
That could be a hot take.
That could be, but I don't think it's any of our hot takes.
No.
Like, do you consider Anakin to be a separate person than Vader? Or a completely different character? Because a lot of people do, just because.
I kind of would, yeah.
Really?
Only from like a film perspective. Like if you're talking about a character and you say Anakin, like I'm not thinking of Vader
Oh,
in
true.
Empire Strikes Back. Or you're saying that.
Yes. Okay.
So I
that,
think
yes.
from that perspective, I
Like,
think you
yeah.
have to.
If I point to this guy,
You're
I'm not
just-
saying Anakin.
Yeah, exactly.
I know.
But I think what makes Anakin and what makes Vader great characters is a
It is the same
continued
person.
character through like the whole film.
Yeah.
Mine would be Vader.
and not Anakin.
I do like Anakin too. That's it's like right up there. But I love the Vader. Like my debit card is Vader on it. So,
But because of what you just said, like Anakin is still Vader, but you like his Vader era.
which is weird because my favorite episode is episode 3, which is mostly
Nobody turns into Vader. So it
Yeah.
makes sense.
yeah. But like if I were naming like my top 5 films, like I don't know if even half of them would be
The OGs?
the OGs.
Wow.
No, okay. Well, at least 2 of them probably. I don't know.
I'm probably in the same boat. I mean, I love all.
Oh, I knew you
It's
were
just a
that.
lot of
Yeah.
a lot of what I like about the Vader character isn't the fighting stuff.
Right.
It's more of like his presence on screen, like his character development through those 3 films, even like his presence in like Rogue One and Episode 3. Like, it's just like the
Obi-Wan.
ominousness of his character. Yeah, and Kenobi.
Yeah.
But what I love about the Anakin character is like his fighting, his like, I don't know, like all that kind of stuff about him in those like first 3 films too.
I'd say I'm the exact same.
You don't like little Anakin?
Yeah.
Although I'd say my favorite version of Vader, Anakin, is before he gets his suit as Vader.
Yeah.
Vader.
Like Dark
pre-suit.
Side Anakin.
Yeah.
Specifically, walking into the temple.
Yes. When he's crying. With the music played.
When he's on Mustafar,
Yeah.
killing all the separatists. When he's like basically maximized
Yeah.
Vader at that point.
Spencer likes murder.
Genocide. He's
Yeah.
a sucker for genocide.
Yeah, so mine is Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
Big surprise.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, when we were growing up, it was always like, he was Anakin, I was Obi-Wan. And maybe a little bit with you too. But yeah, he's just kind of like the pinnacle of the Jedi. Always level-headed. And if he's not, then you know something is very, very wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like, I don't know what else there is to say about that.
Perfect Jedi.
Yeah.
There was something I saw a couple days ago, maybe weeks ago, on like a reel or a TikTok of like, it was kind of like a self-created like montage of like the Obi-Wan character, like walking through how much he's lost, like everything that was like destroyed in front of him, and like couldn't do anything about it, and like tried to like salvage these different like relationships, and like, yeah, like lost his master, lost his Padawan, lost his
Friends.
his
His family.
yeah,
His love
yeah,
in the Clone Wars.
yes,
The team.
and then had to fight and really try to like kill his like best friend and Padawan,
Yeah.
and then had to take on the task of like hiding a child and watching the only other Jedi that he knew that was alive in Yoda go off into the stars, into hiding.
Yeah.
And-
Well, yeah, and then he was in hiding too.
Yeah.
On the worst possible plane.
Yeah.
Never get me here.
Yeah, it was a cool like tribute video to
Yeah.
that. It was, yeah.
Yeah, there was a really good tribute, really long, a little too long, tribute to Anakin that I watched. I meant to send it to you.
I've probably seen it.
Yeah, one of my friends sent it to me, and it was just kind of like a emotional, like long video, just going through like Anakin's life, which is basically like a summary of the Skywalker Saga movies.
Yeah.
But it was really good. But yeah, Obi-Wan.
Mhm.
For
for sure. I want to ask, who's your favorite Sith? Is it Darth Vader? If we're going with all of the Sith that you know about,
Yeah.
you too.
Like only the canon?
No.
Oh.
I mean, Darth Maul is good.
Yeah,
I'm glad.
that's another thing that the animated shows.
Yes.
I mean, I hated when they brought him back. Still not a fan of it. But the way they handled it after he came back was great.
Mm-hmm.
And he ended up being a really good character, especially in Rebels.
Yeah.
I think I have to go with that too.
What, Vader? Maul? Maul's your favorite Sith? Huh.
For canon, at least. Probably of all time. Like, besides Vader.
Yeah, I would say canon or Legends.
Yeah, I'd go with Maul.
Hmm.
Just, he's the epitome of the dark side at the beginning of the saga. And
Yeah.
he is manipulative in the Clone Wars and tries to take
Rebels.
away. Yeah.
Definitely in Rebels.
Yeah.
Disguised as like an old man.
Yeah.
With Ezra.
He just tries to like steal what Palpatine is like create because he knows what he's doing. He knows the whole plan.
Yeah.
So
That scene, the last season,
yes,
where he's like, the plan has begun with them.
yes, he just knows.
Because you never really knew if he knew.
Yeah.
We still don't really know if Dooku knew.
I guarantee.
He probably didn't know everything. That's just crazy.
Yeah, I'd say Maul for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. So your favorite character is Darth Vader, but your favorite Sith character is Maul?
No, I said Vader.
Okay. But
if we're picking like not Vader because he's kind of like
I mean,
up there top, like
Yeah.
what do you do?
so Maul's your second.
He's just a cool looking character. Like they did a great job like designing a very like ominous looking
Mm-hmm.
like species, and in that film, like for the first time ever seeing like a double-sided lightsaber, like that was not a thing.
Yeah.
So they killed him
Yeah.
Instantly. If we're not going canon, I don't even know who I would choose.
That's why I was curious why you said that. Because
There's
I want
a
to
lot
know
of options.
which ones you would say and which ones you.
Well, didn't you say him?
Yeah.
Oh, that
I was going to say.
Yeah.
Or you could say her, depending on how you play the game, I guess. So the big spoiler of the game is you find out you have been playing him as that person the entire time.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
interesting.
That's why it's so good. So, like, the premise is, like, he was a Jedi that turned to the dark side, or they were in the middle of a war with the Mandalorians, the Mandalorian War, and he wanted to help the Republic with the war, but the Jedi Council didn't want to get involved because they didn't want to be warriors in the war, kind of like what happened in the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
So he just did it himself and took a bunch of people with him. And then
Jedis?
Jedi,
Okay.
not Jedis.
I'd do it too. So.
I'm just doing it because I know they're going to do it.
Jedi.
Yeah. Takes a bunch of Jedi with him, and him and his apprentice turn to the dark side in the process, and then come back to fight against the Jedi with all of these Sith that he finds. And so then it just becomes what they call the Jedi Civil War, which is just Sith against Jedi, but they used to be Jedi. And that's when he becomes Darth Revan and his apprentice, Darth Malak. And then a Jedi strike team goes onto their ship. And, the whole premise of the Sith is for the apprentice to kill the master to become the master, right? So
it's true.
Yeah. So his apprentice was in a ship flying around in the battle while Darth Revan was on his capital ship bridge. And while the Jedi are like fighting Darth Revan, Malak just blasts the bridge and thinks that he killed him, and then resumes the role of the Dark Lord, thinking that Revan was dead. But little did he know that he survived, and the Jedi took him back to wipe his mind, basically. And so you start the game as this, person that has, a very simple backstory that the Jedi gave them. But you get to choose, which backstory you go with.
You could be a girl or a boy.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then you can just play through the game and you have no idea. You're just a new person. You're like a soldier with the Republic. But then you happen to be on the ship with the Jedi that was on the ship that was fighting Darth Revan at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So you're Revan with the person that was fighting against you. And then, a whole bunch of other stuff happens. And basically, the Force guides you back to the Jedi because you're so powerful in the Force. But you have no idea. So then you become a Jedi.
Back.
Huh.
All the memories come back.
Eventually, yeah.
Interesting. That's a cool story.
They don't come back fully until you interact with your old apprentice.
Okay.
On his ship. All the memories come flooding back. And then Malak's like, "You idiot, you didn't know this whole time that you were Revan?"
It's a good twist.
Yeah, it's such a good game.
Jedi goes to Sith, back to Jedi.
Yeah,
It's
and
so cool.
there's dark side and light side choices. So when you're in a conversation, you can choose a dark side option to this person's really annoying, I'm just gonna kill him, or force choke him or whatever in the conversation. And the canon ending is a light side ending, or Revan, even though he remembers who he is, turns back to the light side. But you can choose to do a dark side ending too.
And resume your
role.
Do you kill Malak?
Oh yeah. No matter what, you kill him, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, that's such a good game. The second one's really good too. Not as good.
Not as good of a twist.
No, because they didn't really finish it all the way. Sadly.
Yeah.
But still good.
Nice.
Anyways, so that's Darth Revan.
Cool.
Spoiled.
He is one of the most intriguing characters.
Yeah, just because of all of that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what everyone's been claiming for them to make a game. Not just a new game, but a movie.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's just such a good twist, even without the gameplay side of it. So, yeah. And then there's a sequel, and then there's the Old Republic MMO game that me and him play. It's a multiplayer game that they still make content for. But that is on PC only. But that's fun.
Nice.
We still play it all the time. So what's your hottest take? Or should I revisit mine that I hinted at earlier?
Yeah, do that first. It's mine's French.
I'm going to make a lot of enemies. I just don't really like A New Hope that much. It is always on the bottom of my list.
Whoa, bottom.
Yeah.
Really?
Not very bottom. I would rate it higher than the sequels. But I would rate it.
It would be.
No. I would rate it below The Force Awakens. I like The Force Awakens more. Yeah.
Mm.
I've always thought this, like, when I would watch the movies, sometimes I would skip it, like, even when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, I like it, but it's just kind of slow,
Mhm.
very slow paced. And, I mean, that's really what it comes down to. It's like, it's not a very exciting movie until, like, when they're on the Death Star
Yeah.
and trying to escape.
Yeah.
And then after that, like, the trench run scene and, like, the whole space battle just isn't very interesting to me.
Hmm.
I have never been interested in, like, vehicle related things, like airplanes or cars or
I've always
anything.
been confused at that by you.
Why?
Like, I don't know, because it's Star Wars, you know? Like,
I know, but to me, Star Wars is always like the Jedi stuff, the Sith stuff, or just like the characters in general
Mhm.
and like the worlds.
Yeah.
The aliens and like all this stuff. And like, yeah, the spaceships too, but like, it's just, I don't know, like, it's not just Star Wars either. I'm like that with anything. Like, I was just
Yeah.
talking about this with Drew last night. We were playing Warzone, and we were talking about Masters of the Air,
Yeah.
which is that show that we were talking to you about a few weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
Great show, amazing show. And I told him that since they announced it over 10 years ago, we knew about it 10 years ago. I was just anticipating it to be not very interesting because I just don't care about planes and like,
Yeah.
that's the side of the war that I just don't care about. And or like
You like
any
the trenches. You like the
like
the
soldiers.
firefights,
Yeah. Like that stuff
Hmm.
is exciting. And vehicles.
Yeah, you did always hate in like when we would play Battlefront 2, you hated like the space battles.
I didn't hate them, but yeah, I didn't prefer them.
Yeah.
They were fun. But also, once you figure out that you can go into the enemy capital ship,
Destroy
then
all 6 of the things you need to do.
just destroy them, like, yeah.
Yeah.
Like that
Yeah.
kind of just, you can just kind of cheese it.
did you feel like Anakin?
Yeah. Land in the hangar and just wreck it. But, yeah. It's just how I am with everything. Like when we play Warzone or like anything that has vehicles, like,
You're the last one to drive.
I am not driving. I will sit and look out and make sure that we're defended, but
Yeah.
I'm not driving.
Dang it. Or like Halo.
Yeah, Halo, I'm not driving.
Oh man, getting in a Warthog.
Yeah.
Or riding a like a ghost around. It's just
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I like the ghosts. But yeah, if it's a plot related thing to vehicles, like starfighters and stuff, like,
Mhm.
I don't know. It just isn't very interesting to me.
There
But
is a lot of that.
Masters of the Air hooked me.
Yeah, that shit was good.
They did that super well.
And they don't focus on like vehicles that much.
I mean, they're in a plane for a lot of it.
Yeah, but they're not like.
But I'm saying, like, the plane scenes, I was hooked in.
Yeah.
Because it was, like, you never know when they're going to get taken out.
Yeah.
So, and I do think one of the scenes in a Star Wars, which, in Rogue One, like the whole scene with the shield that they have over Scarif, and they're trying to get the U-Wing through it, like, that's a great scene. I love that scene. But, yeah, I don't know. Because a lot of people look at A New Hope and be like, oh, that's like one of the best scenes in the whole franchise.
Mm-hmm.
But since I didn't see that movie in the theater, it was my first Star Wars movie, but I had the privilege of seeing Empire Strikes Back right after it.
Yeah.
So,
I can see.
which is just a way better movie in my opinion.
It's a good hot take.
Yeah.
It's a good hot take.
And when I wrote that down, when we were talking about hottest takes the other day, I had no idea what I was going to say.
Mm-hmm. And now you know.
And now...
Get it off my chest.
Yeah.
Feel it.
Yeah. So everyone's going to hate me now. Any other hot takes?
I do have one, but do you want to go first?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
It's related to Darth Jar Jar.
No.
We're going to make this.
No, my hot take is that the ending to episode 9,
Okay.
I think Anakin should have been in Rey's position as his Force Ghost to end his chosen, whatever that's called.
Every time I do that, I think of that scene in New Girl with Allie. And she's like, I don't know. I just watched that last night. I don't know about that. I mean, overall, yes. I think a lot of what they gave Rey, the writers specifically, is all the stuff that should have gone to Anakin.
Yeah.
But in that, like, there would be a lot more changes that would need to be done to make that
yes. I think the whole movie of her having his lightsaber in general, he should have been there with her, giving her guidance the whole movie. That would have been cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
In which case, that would have probably led events to change to where he's, the one taking the lead of all the Jedi.
I could see that.
More of a redemption arc for his character.
I mean, that's what you would want for him.
Yeah.
And the way they could have easily had him involved was when they had Luke come back as a ghost to talk to Rey. They could have just easily put him in there too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I could see that.
It's a good one too.
Yeah.
I don't know if very many people would disagree with that take. It's not
right.
Yeah.
But
I mean, there's a lot of Rey stands that would disagree, but
I think
I don't think they would disagree that hard.
I think there's enough people that don't like Anakin as a Force Ghost in general to say that that's not okay.
And I don't think it would take away from Rey's character that much, because I don't think she really earned it in the first place.
Yeah.
I like Rey, but I don't think she earned that whole scene.
Where she's all of the Jedi.
Yeah, that kind of came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Even though they had the voices of the other Jedi, which was a good touch.
Yeah.
It didn't feel earned. They could have had more conversations with the Force Ghosts and stuff with her and everything, but yeah. I see that. You convinced me.
You convinced me. This is outlandish of me to say.
Darth Jar Jar.
No. I think episode 1 is better than the originals.
All three.
All three.
Whoa.
I know, that's big to say that. But I think there's so much that happens in episode 1 that was foundational to the films that I think it is a good movie. I think it's good. Of course, the CGI and it is what it is. But yeah,
I mean, I agree. Going back to my hot take, I don't know if it's I have to be careful with saying like it's a better movie or I like it more, because those might be two different things. But I definitely do like The Phantom Menace more than A New Hope. I agree. Obviously, after what I said. But yeah, like I would watch Phantom Menace any day of the week, but I probably wouldn't watch A New Hope any day of the week. But I can't say that about the other two movies. I would rather watch. Well, I don't know. I like Return of the Jedi a lot too. It's hard. Like those three movies, Phantom Menace, A New Hope, and because Empire Strikes Back is like way at the top, and Return of the Jedi are all kind of around the same for me, with A New Hope being towards the bottom of it.
Like they're just like me for you.
I wouldn't go that far.
I know.
They're towards the top. Good. I don't know. I like The Phantom Menace more than Attack of the Clones, I think.
There's a lot of people that do.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people think Attack of the Clones is one of the worst movies ever made.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I think, like, 3, 2, 1 is 1, 2, 3 for me.
Well.
Yeah. And then I would probably put Return of the Jedi as 4.
Really? So
probably
you don't like Empire Strikes Back very much.
No.
Even though you love Vader.
I do.
It goes back to what he was saying before, where he doesn't like those movies because Vader's in it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, but
like a lot of those 3 films have like Vader fight scenes, and I think a lot of what makes them loved by like Star Wars fans is like those like Luke and Vader fight scenes, and like that culmination of like him finding out that it's his father. He is his father. Like that kind of stuff is like the big moments from those. Whereas like the fighting and like the climax of the stories and things in the first 3, I just think are just miles ahead of what the OGs have.
I agree.
I know you're going to agree. Not a lot of people out there.
I know.
That's a hot
that's
take.
why it's a hot take. Yeah.
Wow.
For its time, like honestly, like in the 80s, like those are well done stories. They're like written the way that like movies were written then, and like
sure,
that's like, and so it probably is a generational thing.
I mean, yeah, but I don't know. I get told I'm an old soul all the time, so whatever. Yeah, I mean, just because it's hot doesn't mean it's not valid, I guess.
So you think Attack of the Clones is second?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very strange.
Yeah, it's like it kind of going back to like my hot take of like why Phantom Menace is where I put it. Attack of the Clones, like you're finding out all the whole things about like the clones and like them getting kidnapped and rescued, and like you finally kind of find out like what Dooku's playing in the whole role of, and like Palpatine is actually like a real threat now, and like
one of my favorite parts of that movie is like Obi-Wan, not just because he's my favorite character, but he's like playing detective.
Yeah.
Where he's like going to all these different people to like figure out what the heck just happened. Like he just witnessed a person get assassinated after someone tried to assassinate Padme, and then like follows all these trails. Like I love that part of that movie. Yeah. I mean, I love episode 2.
Yeah, and you don't really like vehicle scenes, but like him getting chased by Jango Fett.
Yeah, that's a good scene.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a short scene. I don't like vehicle scenes that drag on.
Yeah, that was like short and sweet and like powerful and like.
But also their speeder when they're chasing.
Yes, the speed scene
and
is great. Yes.
That's cool.
Yeah. I mean, I love that movie too. I mean, just because it's not on the top of my list doesn't mean I don't like it.
Mm-hmm.
I like all of them. I mean, that's why we're here.
Yeah, no, I think mine is 3, 1, and 2, and that was
Really?
Yeah.
So, where does Rogue One fit in?
I actually think I probably would put that above 1. And I would put it as like my 3rd favorite. It's really good.
Yeah.
I didn't feel the same way about it when I first saw it for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
But as I've watched it like multiple times, they just did a great job of like tying it right into
A New Hope.
A New Hope, and like that scene.
That scene.
Yeah.
Yeah. It definitely makes A New Hope better
Yeah.
on my end.
just that scene alone.
No, not that scene. That scene could be there and it would still make it better, but
I think that's one of the most iconic scenes in all of film.
yeah, at this point, yeah.
We didn't study.
But I think it's still a great movie without that scene.
Yeah.
And so even if that scene wasn't there, if it was just like Vader still like pursuing them, I still think it would greatly enhance A New Hope.
Mm-hmm.
So, which means it's a great movie if it can stand alone aside from that scene.
Yeah.
But that scene just kind of elevates it even higher.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's probably in the top 5 for me too. But
Solo? Where's that at?
well, what were you
Sorry,
gonna say?
yeah.
Top 5?
Definitely top 5.
Okay.
I think
We don't have to give our full rankings.
might
But
be.
maybe we can do that. We have to do those like ranking lists,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
the like tier lists or whatever
Yes.
sometime.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
We're gonna like argue the whole time.
yeah. Solo was
Solo. How many times have you watched Solo?
Twice.
I watched it 3 times, I think.
I think I've done it twice.
It's good.
It's good. It's another film that I think was better the second time I watched it.
Definitely.
It's a good like standalone
Yeah.
film too.
It's fun.
Yeah.
It's just a fun adventure movie.
I feel like it would do better today than it did back then.
It would have done better even a month after it came out.
Yeah.
Why is that?
It came out the same month as Avengers Infinity War. And that's why it just completely bombed. And it was in May, and the previous December was when The Last Jedi came out, which not only is a major episode of the Star Wars saga,
Mm-hmm.
but it was one that like half of the fandom hated. So then a movie comes out like a few months later, like no one's gonna see that. And it's not even a mainline movie. And it's in the same month as an Avengers movie, when Avengers was like huge. Just completely shot that movie in the foot.
Yeah, that's poor timing for sure.
But if it came out like later in that year, even would have done better. But yeah, like a year later.
Or even this year. Like I feel like that movie could do amazing
It would do really good
right now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But we're also kind of in a dry spell. It's Star
I feel
Wars
like
movies.
that's when
That would have came out today. It would have been a movie. They would have made it into a series.
True.
Well,
I do agree with that.
I think they've learned their lesson on that. And they might be going in the opposite direction they need to with the whole Mandalorian movie thing. But they probably would have just done it straight to Disney Plus as a Disney Plus movie.
Mm.
And I still think they should make a sequel, not solo to, but like a sequel to that with Maul.
Yep.
And just put it on Disney Plus. Could be just a movie on Disney Plus. Would love if they did that.
Like a standalone Maul movie.
Not specifically Maul, but like the Crimson Dawn movie. Like that's what's cool about Outlaws is you get to see the Crimson Dawn stuff in there. But like they teased Maul at the end of that movie, and it's like, okay, where's the rest of the story?
Yeah.
That would be so cool. But yeah, Solo was fun. So anyways, got all that out of the way.
Yeah.
That ended up being a lot longer than I thought.
Yeah.
Which I figured would probably happen. So I guess we'll probably end there for this first episode. Kind of just getting to know us. This podcast will probably be a monthly thing to start out with. We are going to record a couple episodes in advance. But going forward, it'll probably be monthly, and then we'll see where it goes from here. We'll have guests on every once in a while, especially if one of these guys can't make it. But other than that, thank you for watching, and see you in the next ones, hopefully.
Dog's a sandwich.
Hot dog's a sandwich.
What?
Okay.
It's technically a taco.
Now that I can get behind. The American taco.
There was a graphic that somebody put up and like walked through it like on it was one of those like talk shows, and they like pulled it up on the screen and like walked through it. It's like
If it looks like this.
Like
Yeah.
diagrams?
Yeah.
if it was breading on three sides, it's this. If it's breading on the bottom only, it's this. And then so they would list all the things that have breading on the bottom or like breading on three sides, and it was like things that you would never think of. And then they went to like the next page of it, and they were like, and technically cereal is a soup. And then they're like, no.
That's just wrong.